In this next module, we are going to discuss teams. Let's talk about meetings, and let's talk about being more proactive, productive, and also collaborative using Microsoft Copilot in Teams. When we discuss the utilization or how to use Copilot in Teams, we are going to look at a couple angles. First, how do I use for a collaboration approach when I am attending a meeting? And then after the meeting, how do I use Copilot there as well when I already have the transcript or the meeting and I can review what was said or what I wanted to extract from that conversation? First, when we look at Teams, we look at collaboration. So this allows us to enhance our communication. It could be a time when I am having a conversation with Teams, with my colleagues, and I simply want to write something. I can leverage Copilot to make that sound much better, concise, clear. Also, reduce that clutter. Increases my productivity. It boosts quite a bit that productivity because when I am attending a meeting, I can also ask Copilot to summarize what is being said. Maybe I missed a specific point. I got late from one meeting to the other, and I want to be able to focus on that. What did so-and-so said at that particular time? Did they cover a particular content? So first, let's talk about this collaboration. How does Copilot help us to grow this collaboration in Teams? One of the things we're going to see here is this conversation summarization. If the conversation is already underway, I can ask Copilot to summarize. I don't miss a point anymore. If I miss 5 minutes of the meeting, I can simply say, what did I miss in the last 5 minutes? If there is a specific task, a specific point that I wanted to be able to attend or to understand from that productivity perspective, I can ask Copilot. This was a project, was very important to me. Did someone mention this product, this process, this timeline, or even my name in a meeting? I can validate that. And of course, the contextual insights. I can have a much broader perspective of how this meeting went or it's going when I have Copilot to assist me with that. First, we mentioned about the drafting of a message. So when I am in a meeting and I want to be able to write a content, I can very well use Copilot to write, rewrite, change the tone, make it longer, make it shorter. It makes it easy for me to be more expressive during the meeting. And then during the meeting, I can also catch up on the chat channels. Maybe I want to be able to see what I missed, summarize the conversation for the last 30 minutes. I joined a little bit late, not that I want to tell anybody, but I want to be able to validate and see and get the gist of what is happening in the meeting at that time. Now, what should I say? How do I really draft that message? How do I do this? Well, I can draft the message the way that I want. I don't need to be worried about spelling or configuration. I just start the conversation and then I ask Copilot to help me enhance this. Make it sound more effective, make it sound more clear. Rewrite it, adjust the grammar, adjust the tone, adjust the style. So there are many ways for me to get Copilot to help me make this experience better, not only for me, but also for the attendees, the people that are attending the meeting and listening to my request. So with that, one of the things that I need to do is look at the meeting. How do I catch up with that? Maybe there is some information that I missed in there. So what did I miss in the last 15 minutes? What did so-and-so say? Or what are the links that were shared on this meeting? Or action items. Are there any specific action items that I need to follow? Was there anyone assigned to me? Can you summarize what someone said, what was said about this time or throughout the meeting? Highlight specific action points. Now, with all of this, with Teams, I can also amplify my collaboration with my team. So now I can begin to have Copilot be that facilitator with the meeting. If somebody is asking something, we can ask Copilot, does this make sense? Is that a concern? And because we also have reference to other resources, I can bring those comments, those suggestions, those documents into the conversation. With that, Copilot is our assistant in the meeting, taking notes, taking the recording, taking the transcript, and then it helps us summarize and track those action items. Very, very powerful collaboration tool. Now, in terms of setting up Copilot as our assistant, right? One of the things I need to do is be able to define Copilot and tell exactly how it's going to be done. So now, in that case, I can simply open up Copilot, make it available. But one of the things that's important to me, in order for Copilot to be available in the meeting, I need to make sure that transcript at minimum is on for that meeting. Without a transcript, we will not be able to use Copilot. So you turn on the transcript or you turn on the recording. This will allow Copilot to be able to summarize and provide context on that particular meeting. That's going to be step number one. Taking the notes, again, very simple. I will be able to ask Copilot to help me to take the notes, to share those notes. And I can do this during the meeting, and I can also do this after the meeting, after the content is being taken. But again, all of this content must be used with the transcript or the meeting recording. Now, recap and summarization, this is going to be one of the best parts, right? I could not attend the meeting. I can come back the next day and simply say, give me a recap, and then go into the detail. Oh, I got the gist. I got this. If you missed the meeting, it's almost like if you were there. This is really, really, really powerful. I like that. I don't want to say I use it all the time, but sometimes I do. I teach every day, 9 to 5. I don't have time to attend all those meetings, but I do have time to recap any of the meetings that I missed. Now, tracking the action items as well is very important. Like I said, there's a project in there. I know someone was supposed to mention that. List all those actions that were done. Do me a table format of all of the individuals that were in the meeting, what did they say, and any action items that were assigned to them or not assigned to them. Any questions that were not responded during the meeting. I can do that. I can establish these deadlines. I can establish these contexts that I can use during or after the meeting as well. So based on that, it's going to be a good way to see this in action. So for this demonstration, I am going to call a friend about a project, and then we're going to basically record the meeting and then see what we can do after this meeting. So let's take a look. So here we are in Teams. When I start Teams, I can start accessing Copilot right away. Notice up here on the menu bar, I have the Open with Copilot. Now, this is a conversation I am having with Mindy, where I can summarize all the conversations we had. But one of the things that happen is Mindy and I are talking about this project, this proposal, this solar proposal that I created a couple minutes ago. And I'm going to have a conversation with Mindy about that. I just want to make sure that she was able to get the proposal, and then we're going to see what I can do during the meeting. Also, before we do that, notice on the left-hand side, I have the Copilot button. When I click on this button for Copilot, this opens up Copilot Chat, which we're going to be covering in the last chapter of this class. Here, we are going to have a conversation, just as we do in terms of work or web mode, have a conversation with Copilot, ask questions, summarize, learn, and have a conversation with our AI. All right, let's go back to our meeting for a moment. I did mention in terms of the chat, here is Minnie. So first, let's see what happens when I can use Copilot during the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and call Mindy. And I believe Mindy may not be able to turn on the camera, but I know the meeting can be accessed. All right. As you can see, I am here on the studio, and I just created the proposal for the solar moon station. I just want to check it out to see if you received it.
I received it. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I will take a look at it.
All right. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to hold on to the line for a moment. I am going to start a recording of this session because I want to demonstrate in this class the power of using Copilot in Teams. Is that okay with you?
That would be great.
Well, thank you. All right. So as you notice here, when I began the conversation with Mindy, Copilot began to record. So I started the recording so we can use that within Copilot. Now, because this meeting is being recorded, I can very well start Copilot on the right-hand side, and here it is. Now I can ask to summarize this meeting so far, and I can start by saying, what did Elias just say? Now notice that I tried this before, but it was too soon. The script wasn't completely ready. I need to wait a couple seconds for that to take place. So let's ask Copilot, what did Elias just say? Now, Copilot should be able to understand based on the conversation that I'm having with Mindy, and then give us a quick summary of what I just said a couple seconds ago. So I can do this throughout the meeting. This is great. As long as we are in the same organization, both Mindy and I can leverage Copilot to summarize and keep pace on what we are discussing. And that's great. Now, another way that I mentioned that Copilot can be used during the meeting is when I'm having a conversation with my colleagues. So in this case, I want to ask Mindy to submit, or if she can submit this proposal for the product owner for further review. Now, I can call Copilot by clicking on this button and say, Copilot, rewrite this. Maybe there's some grammar in there's some better way to say it. And if I like it, I can say replace it. But maybe I want to adjust. I want to make it a little more casual. That is going to be another option. And now it says, hey, Mindy, can you send this proposal to the product owner for further review? Nice. Maybe I want to make it a little bit longer. So now I can say, make it longer. And now Copilot is going to adjust. Mindy, could you please submit this proposal for further review by the product owner at your earliest convenience? That's very nice. It is important that we get their feedback. Oh, it's very polite. So I can begin to adjust the tone, adjust the length, adjust the voice of this. And I can continue to rewrite until I'm comfortable. Now I can say replace that, and I can submit. It sounds a lot better than my initial, hey, can you submit this proposal? So I can begin to use Copilot during the conversation, and I can also begin to use Copilot to summarize the conversation, what is being said, what is being proposed, anybody is working on. And then let's go ahead and save this presentation and close it. So I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to say thank you, Mindy, for your time. I appreciate it. All right. So now, once the meeting is over, we are going to see that the transcript is available, and I can use Copilot to now have a conversation about that meeting. So we're going to see that available as well. So here it is. I have a recap of the meeting, and I have the meeting recording. So when I click on the recap, I can begin to use Copilot here as well. So this is the original meeting, and I can have a summarization of what was said. I can also open Copilot and have a conversation about this meeting, right? So here's the summarization of what it is, and I can ask, what was this conversation about? Let's say, well, I just want to give me a gist about this conversation. It was already a summary up there, but I just want to get that idea. Okay, the conversation is about demonstrating the use of Copilot in Teams. That's correct. It wasn't about the proposal. It was about demonstrating in Teams. And also notice the references. I have the references within the conversation based on the transcript of where this is. And because I have all the summaries, I can then summarize. I can send this detail to my team as well. So everyone participating on this meeting, and even if they were not there, they can come back to the meeting summary and have a conversation about this meeting with their assistant. Now, let's review one more time in terms of the access. The last one that I want to point out again is the access to the chat from Teams. This means it's just that you are using Copilot chat from within Teams. It doesn't mean that it is doing anything with Teams at this point. In Teams, you are going to have access when you are in the chat. That's the one we just experienced. And I can do that before the meeting, when I have a conversation with my team. I can do during the meeting, and I can do after the meeting. Now, based on what we just experienced with Teams, that I can have a conversation, be more collaborative with my teams in a chat conversation, leverage Copilot there, and then during a meeting, I can have a conversation and leverage Copilot to help me draft very, very elaborate notes, make it longer, sound better, sound more concise, grammatically correct. And then after the meeting, I can also have that conversation. What was said? What are the action items? What about this proposal? What about the document? With great references. We put together an exercise for you to try on that. First, you are going to then act as that manager, that you are having a meeting with someone or having a meeting with your team, and you want to be able to be collaborative with them. So write, we call this an engaging message to be introduced that on your teams, and then you are going to review that team chat that was discussed. You're going to schedule a meeting in Outlook, and then you are going to also delegate that follow-up. Now, that meeting on Outlook in there, we haven't discussed yet. That's going to be our next topic. But I want to make sure I put in here because when you are in Teams, I can also say, tell me about the next time or the available time that I have to work with this person. That's what we're going to discuss next. How can I work on identifying schedules, identify draft of notations and meetings and comments, and of course, recaps that we have done with a particular individual. So this is a good example for you as an exercise for you to try. Now, let's close this section again with a knowledge check. I have another prompt for you, very similar to the ones we have already seen, where asking Copilot to function as the Microsoft 365 Copilot expert, providing you 3 multiple choice questions about Microsoft 365 Copilot in Teams, and also present those questions all at once and wait for you to respond, show you the correct one, and then give you an explanation for that. Again, you can customize these prompts as you see fit to help you learn even more any of the subjects that we have discussed so far. With that, it brings us to the end of this module number 4. In this module, we talked about enhancing your collaboration, leveraging Copilot to facilitate your understanding, your conversation, to be able to help you draft, summarize, participate on this meeting together with you, summarizing, listening, creating transcript, and also summarizing those transcripts, extracting information from those transcripts. And also be able to help you improve that meeting experience, that meeting management, be able to work with the teams, follow-ups, and actions, make it easy for you and your team to collaborate. And also, we talked about tracking the tasks and effectively, right? Be able to help your AI assistant be able to ensure that you are on track with your projects. I hope you are excited about Microsoft 365 Copilot in Teams, as I am. I use it on a regular basis. And now we are going to dive onto the next module, which will be discussing Copilot in Excel.